Let me get out of the way for a second for our next very special guest, Big Wheel 3, Mr. Elvis Presley.
You know, folks, I've been listening to this rap about money, and I just couldn't resist getting in on it. First, I'd like to say I agree wholeheartedly with everything that has been said so far this afternoon and evening. And I also can't resist saying that it was all the meaningless and selfish things that modern humans do with money that drove me to do a disappearing act in 1977. I can't say where I've been since then, but I can say that I was a foolish man and bad role model before my enlightenment in 1977. I thought living in a big fancy mansion like Graceland was okay. I didn't realize that for all the planning, labor, and materials put into Graceland for just myself and a few friends, that those same resources could have been used to build probably 100 modest homes or apartments for others. Others who couldn't afford any decent home at all because all the labor and materials being used to build homes like mine had driven the cost of the more modest home or apartment out of reach for them because of the more scarce and more expensive labor and materials. I also now realize how foolish it was for me to be driving around in a Cadillac, and even worse, giving away so many of them. For every Cadillac on the road, there are probably 3 less Chevys on the road, because those resources used to build one expensive Caddy could have been used to build several far more affordable and practical Chevys. Like what has already been said here, there are only so many man-hours of labor and trainloads of materials to go around for everybody in the world. And the more of those resources spent on building some fancy house or houses or automobile or automobiles or airplane or airplanes for some individual or group, the less labor and materials there are to go around for building the bare necessities for the non-greedy, period. Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to vent my frustrations.
If I may, I'd like to wrap up today's very brief unveiling of money's true nature, which, by the way, is only the root of all evil if you and I decide to abuse it in that way. Properly used, it is a very convenient tool compared to the old bartering system, which can only work in a very small group setting. So, I would indeed like to wrap these proceedings up with a very heartfelt apology. An apology for my mindless use of slaves and my egotistical building of Mount Vernon Mansion. All I can say is that the institutions of slavery and nobility took many thousands of years to develop, and at the time I lived, the collective human intellect had not realized how wrong these things were. I do relieve myself of some small measure of guilt by being afforded the honor to appear here today in a slightly more enlightened period in the brief history of humanity to help unveil the truth concerning these dastardly institutions. All I can hope is that with increasing goodness, we will indeed gradually grow, not in size or power, but in compassion and understanding of all things we touch. And the power of the human race does, for better or worse, touch all things.
Next time we go to buy something we could really do without, we need to think about our fellow citizens, fellow hard-working citizens who do actually do without things that they really do need, only because so great a portion of our total production resources has been wasted making things that none of us really need.
I may not have a lot to give, but I got talking to you.
Who is not with us is against us. Who does not help us hurts us. Who is not a part of the solution is a part of the problem. Period.